Namaskaram, ladies, let's get one thing straight. Men are not as complicated as we think, but they do have weaknesses, blind spots and vulnerabilities they will never admit to. The truth, a woman who understands these weaknesses is not just powerful, she is unstoppable. So listen up, because I am about to reveal 10 weaknesses men have that every woman should know. Once you understand these, you will never look at a man the same way again. Ladies, let me tell you something that will change the way you see men forever. Their ego is not just a part of them, it is them. It's the silent force that drives their actions, their decisions and their emotions. You see, a man's ego is like a glass castle, strong, proud and towering, but one wrong move and it can shatter into a million pieces. And when it does, oh, the aftermath is something you don't want to deal with. Let's take a simple daily life example. Imagine a couple sitting in a restaurant. The man, dressed in his best, confidently orders food for both of them. He feels in control, he feels like the provider. But the woman, smart, independent and with a mind of her own, gently corrects him, saying, "Actually, I'd like something different." Now, logically, this should not be a big deal. It's just food, right? But in his mind, something small cracks. He feels like he just lost a battle. He didn't even know he was fighting. He wanted to lead. She unknowingly challenged it. And this is how ego works. Silently, invisibly, but powerfully. The same happens in bigger situations. Ever seen a man refuse to ask for directions even when he's clearly lost? That's his ego. Ever seen a guy over-explain something just to prove he knows better? Ego again. Ever had a man sulk for days just because you didn't acknowledge something he did for you? That's not him being petty, that's his ego crying for validation. And here's the real truth, a man will go to any lengths to protect his ego, even if it means hurting the woman he loves. Now let's flip the scenario. Suppose instead of correcting him outright in the restaurant, the woman says, "Oh wow, you ordered that for me. That's so sweet, but you know what? I've been craving something else today. What do you think about that? See what just happened? She didn't bruise his ego. She massaged it while still getting what she wanted." The key isn't to dominate, it's to guide. A smart woman understands that breaking a man's ego won't make her powerful. It will make her lonely. Now, does this mean you should always tiptoe around a man's fragile pride? Absolutely not. But it does mean you need to understand how it operates. Because a man's ego isn't just his weakness, it's also his fuel. It's what makes him chase success. It's what makes him want to protect you. It's what makes him feel like a man. And if you learn how to navigate it, you'll always have the upper hand. Think about the last time you saw a man get competitive over something that didn't even matter. Maybe a video game, maybe lifting heavier at the gym, maybe proving he can fix something without help. It's his ego at play. Now, imagine using that in your favor. Instead of saying, "You never listen to me," try saying, "I love when you take charge, but can I share something that will make things even better?" Instead of saying, "You always make mistakes," say, "I trust your decisions, but here's a little tweak that might help." This is the secret, ladies. Men will do anything for a woman who makes them feel like a king, without making herself a servant. So the next time you see a man's ego acting up, don't fight it, don't crush it. Learn to dance with it, because once you do, you'll have a power over him that no beauty, no charm and no seduction can ever match. Men are taught from a young age that they have to be strong, that they have to be the rock, the protector, the provider. Crying, that's for the weak. Expressing feelings, that's not manly. Seeking comfort, that's a sign of fragility. Society conditions him to believe that vulnerability is a weakness, not realizing that this very belief becomes their greatest weakness. Imagine this. A man comes home from a long, exhausting day. His boss humiliated him in a meeting. His workload is unbearable. And deep down, he feels like he's failing. But does he talk about it? No, he sits in silence, scrolling through his phone, pretending everything is fine. His partner senses something is wrong, so she asks, "What's bothering you?" His immediate response, "Nothing, I'm fine." But he's not fine. His heart is heavy, his mind is restless, but the fear of appearing weak keeps him from opening up. He would rather suffer in silence than let the world or even the woman he loves see his cracks, because in his mind, if he shows his emotions, he is failing at being a man. Now let's flip the scenario. A woman comes home after a bad day. The moment she walks in, she sighs loudly, throws her bag on the couch and says, "You won't believe the kind of day I had." She talks about it, vents her frustrations, maybe even sheds a tear, and what happens? She feels lighter, she feels heard, she feels better. But men, they don't do that. They bottle things up, they suppress. And the more they suppress, the heavier it gets. This is why so many men struggle with stress, anxiety, and even depression in silence. They carry emotional baggage they never unpack because they don't know how. They don't have the tools. And the saddest part, they desperately want to be understood, but they fear being judged. Now, here's where a wise woman stands apart. Instead of pushing him to open up, she gives him the space to do it at his own pace. She doesn't force a conversation, but she creates an environment where he feels safe. She doesn't demand, "Tell me what's wrong." Instead, she says, "You don't have to talk if you don't want to, but I'm here when you're ready." And when he finally does open up, she listens without judgment, without rushing to fix things, without making him feel weak for feeling. A man will never tell you this, but when he finds a woman with whom he can be emotionally vulnerable, without fear of shame, he will never let her go. She becomes his safe place, his sanctuary, his home. Let's take another daily life example. Imagine a man loses his job. His first instinct is not to share his fears, but to act as if everything is under control. He still pays the bills, still goes about his day as if nothing happened. Not because he isn't worried, but because he doesn't want to seem incapable. Now his partner has two choices. She can either say, "Why didn't you tell me? You should have shared this with me," which will only make him feel worse. Or she can say, "I know this must be hard on you, but I want you to know that I believe in you, and no matter what, we'll figure this out together." One approach makes him feel smaller, the other makes him feel supported. The key to understanding men is realizing that their silence is not always indifference. It is often fear. Fear of not being enough, fear of disappointing the people they love, fear of losing the respect they work so hard to earn. So if you ever wonder why a man won't cry in front of you, why he struggles to say, "I'm scared" or "I need help," it's not because he doesn't trust you, it's because he was never taught how. A woman who understands this doesn't push, doesn't pressure, she simply creates a space where he can breathe, where he can exhale, where he can be human. And when a man finds that, he will fight to keep it forever. Silence. It's one of the most misunderstood things about men. Women often see it as a wall, a barrier, an emotional shutdown. But in reality, a man's silence is not emptiness, it is full of words, emotions, battles, and thoughts he doesn't know how to express. Think about this. A woman gets upset, she expresses it. She calls her best friend, she cries, she writes about it, she talks about it. Even if she doesn't have a solution yet, she releases it. A man, he holds it in, he goes quiet, not because he doesn't feel, but because he doesn't know how to share what he's feeling. His mind is running 1,000 miles an hour, but his lips stay sealed. Now imagine this scenario. A couple has a small argument. The woman expresses her frustration, she wants to talk it out immediately, she needs resolution, but the man, he goes quiet. His responses get shorter, his expressions unreadable. She asks, "What's wrong? Talk to me." He shakes his head and says, "Nothing. I just need some time." At this moment, she feels ignored, unimportant, maybe even unloved. She assumes his silence means he doesn't care. But what she doesn't realize is that his silence isn't rejection, it's reflection. He is thinking, processing, trying to find the right words. Men don't communicate their emotions the way women do. When a man is silent, it doesn't mean he's fine. It doesn't mean he doesn't care. It means he is in his own world trying to figure out how to deal with something that is bigger than his ability to express it. Look at everyday life. When a man is going through stress, whether it's work, money, family issues, he doesn't run to his friends and pour his heart out. No, he withdraws. He becomes quieter, more distant, not because he doesn't trust you, but because his instinct is to handle it alone. Society has trained him to believe that emotions should be controlled, that vulnerability is weakness, that talking about his problems makes him less of a man. So what does he do? He escapes into distractions. Maybe he spends more time on his phone, watching TV, playing video games, or working late. Maybe he zones out, nodding at conversations but not really listening. His body is present, but his mind is somewhere else. And here's the mistake many women make. They mistake this silence for a lack of love, when in reality it's just how men cope. Now, here's the secret. If you want to understand a man's silence, don't chase it. Don't try to force words out of him. The more you push, the more he will retreat. Instead, give him space to process. Let him know you're there, but don't demand an immediate response. Imagine a man comes home from work visibly drained. Instead of bombarding him with questions, a wise woman simply says, "I can see you had a tough day. I'm here when you're ready to talk." No pressure, no interrogation, just an open door. And the magic? When a man feels safe in his silence, he will eventually speak, but only when he is ready. Another common situation. After an argument, a woman wants immediate closure. She wants to fix things, talk things out. But the man? He pulls away, withdraws, shuts down. Not because he doesn't care, but because he needs time to sort through his own emotions before he can communicate them. So what should you do? Resist the urge to fill the silence. Let him be. When he sees that you respect his need for space, he will come back on his own, not out of pressure, but out of trust. A man's silence is not a sign of disinterest. It is his way of handling emotions that he doesn't yet have the words for. The woman who understands this, who doesn't take it personally, who knows when to wait and when to listen, that woman is rare. And trust me, a man never forgets a woman who understands him beyond his words. If you ask a woman what she wants most in a relationship, she will say love. She wants to feel adored, cherished, prioritized. She wants to feel safe in someone's arms, knowing she is the center of his world. But if you ask a man, love is important, yes, but respect is what truly fuels him. A man would rather be respected without love than loved without respect. And this is where many women go wrong. They shower a man with love, but they unintentionally take away the one thing he values even more, his dignity. Imagine this. A couple is out with friends. They are having dinner, laughing, enjoying the night, but in the middle of a conversation, the woman playfully makes fun of her man. Maybe it's about how he always forgets things, how he can't fix things around the house, or how he got lost the last time they traveled. It's meant to be light-hearted, a joke. The people at the table laugh. She laughs. But the man? He forces a smile, but something inside him shrinks. To her, it was just teasing. To him, it was disrespect. Because here's the thing about men. They are deeply sensitive to how the world sees them, especially the woman they love. They want to be admired, looked up to, seen as strong, capable, and worthy. And the moment they feel belittled, especially in public, it hits them harder than words can explain. Let's take another example, a simple everyday situation. A man comes home after a long, exhausting day at work. He's stressed, tired, but also proud because he managed to handle the tough situation. He sits down, hoping for a moment of peace. But before he can even take a deep breath, His partner says, "Did you forget to take out the trash again? How many times do I have to remind you?" Now, to a woman, this might just be frustration. She's had a long day too. She doesn't mean to hurt him, she just wants the house to be taken care of. But to him, it's another reminder that no matter what he does, it's never enough. That his efforts, his struggles, his battles outside the home don't count if he forgets something small inside the home. And this is what most people don't realize. Men don't need constant compliments. They don't need grand gestures of love. What they crave, what they truly long for, is to feel respected and appreciated for who they are. A man will move mountains for a woman who makes him feel like a king. But the moment he feels disrespected, the moment he feels small in her eyes, something inside him shuts down. Now, does this mean you should agree with everything he says? No. Does this mean you should tolerate bad behavior? Absolutely not. But it does mean that even in disagreement, there is a way to communicate without damaging his sense of self-worth. Instead of saying you never help around the house, try saying, "I know you have a lot on your plate and I appreciate what you do, but it would mean a lot to me if you could help me with this." Instead of saying, "You're always forgetting things," try saying, "I know you've got a lot on your mind, but could we figure out a way to make things easier so we both remember?" It's not about sugarcoating things. It's about speaking in a way that makes him feel valued, not attacked. Men are simple in this way. If a man feels respected, he will give his best. If he feels disrespected, he will slowly pull away. And here is the thing, when a woman understands this, when she learns the power of respect, she holds a power over him that no beauty, no charm, and no passion can ever replace. Because a man will never forget the woman who made him feel like the best version of himself. Men are raised with a mindset that tells them one thing over and over again: be strong, handle it yourself, never show weakness. From a young age, they are taught that asking for help is a sign of failure, a dent in their masculinity. They are conditioned to believe that real men figure things out on their own. Now, think about how this plays out in real life. A man is driving and he gets lost. His wife or girlfriend sitting beside him notices and she suggests, "Why don't we just stop and ask for directions?" His response, "No, I got this." Minutes turn into an hour and he's still circling the same streets, refusing to stop and ask for help. To her, it makes no sense. Why waste time? Just ask someone and move on. But to him, admitting he doesn't know the way feels like admitting he's incapable. This doesn't just happen on the road, it happens in every area of a man's life. Let's take another scenario. A man is struggling financially, his business is failing, or he just lost his job. Deep down, he is drowning in stress, but does he tell his partner? No, instead he acts like everything is fine, he avoids conversations about money, keeps his problems to himself, and carries the burden alone. The woman in his life sees something is wrong, so she asks, "Are you okay? Do you need help?" And just like that, he shuts down, "I'm fine, don't worry about it." But he is not fine. The weight of his struggles is crushing him, but he won't admit it. Not because he doesn't trust her, not because he doesn't need help, but because in his mind asking for help means he has failed as a man. Now, this is where many women get frustrated. They see their partner struggling, but every attempt to offer help is met with resistance, and after a while, they start to feel helpless themselves. But here's what women need to understand. It's not that he doesn't want help, it's that he doesn't know how to ask for it without feeling weak. So how do you support a man who struggles to ask for help? First, don't force it. The more you push him to open up, the more he will pull away. Instead, create an environment where he feels safe to do it on his own terms. Let's go back to the financial struggle example. Instead of saying, "You should just tell me what's wrong," try saying, "I know things are tough right now, and I want you to know that we're in this together. You don't have to handle everything alone." This small shift changes everything. It reassures him that he is not being judged, that he is not being seen as weak, but rather as someone who is strong enough to share his burden. Another example, if he is stressed about work, instead of demanding, just talk to me, try saying, I see you're going through something. I won't pressure you, but when you're ready, I'm here. Men don't open up when they're forced. They open up when they feel safe. And here's the most important part. When he finally does ask for help, never make him regret it. The worst thing a woman can do is say, see, I told you so, or make him feel like less of a man for needing support. If he ever confides in you about his fears, his failures, his weaknesses, honor that moment. Because for him it's not easy. A man who finds a woman who makes him feel supported, not judged, will hold on to her forever. Because the world expects him to be strong all the time, but with her he finally feels like he can breathe. Men are wired to chase success. From childhood they are taught to win, to achieve, to be the provider, the protector, the one who has everything under control. Society places an unspoken rule on them: if you fail, you are not enough. Now, think about how this plays out in real life. A little boy falls while playing soccer, and before he even reacts, he looks at his father's face. If his father says, come on, get up, boys, don't cry, the boy quickly wipes his tears and pretends it doesn't hurt. He is learning something valuable but also dangerous. He is learning that failure must be hidden. Fast forward to adulthood, and now this same boy is a man, facing the pressures of the world, career, finances, relationships, responsibilities. But every time he stumbles, the voice from his past whispers, you can't show weakness, you have to be strong. And so instead of expressing his fears, instead of admitting that he is struggling, he keeps moving forward with a forced smile. Now let's bring this into relationships. A man is trying to start a business and things are not going well. Sales are low, money is tight, and he feels like he is failing, but does he talk about it? No. Instead, he acts like everything is fine. He works late hours, avoids serious conversations, and even becomes distant. The woman in his life notices the change, so she asks, what's wrong? Why are you so distant? His response, nothing, I'm fine. But he is not fine, he is afraid, not just of failing, but of being seen as a failure. Because in his mind, failure is not just about losing money or a job, it's about losing respect, losing his identity, losing the image of strength he has worked so hard to build. And this fear controls him more than anyone realizes. Think about a man who is struggling in his career. He might feel ashamed to come home and tell his partner that he's not where he wants to be. Instead, he withdraws. He doesn't want pity. He doesn't want to be seen as incapable. Or take a man who has been rejected by a job, by an opportunity, or even by love. Women process rejection by talking, by expressing emotions. But men, they bottle it up. They joke about it. They pretend they don't care. Because admitting that they are hurt feels like admitting defeat. And here's where most women go wrong. They assume that just because he looks strong, he is strong. But the truth is, every man has insecurities. Every man fears that one day he won't be good enough, that one day he will fail so badly that he won't be able to recover. So how do you support a man who fears failure? First, never make him feel small for his struggles. If he shares his worries with you, don't say, I told you this wouldn't work, or why didn't you listen to me? Those words will cut deeper than you can imagine. Instead, remind him of his strengths. Remind him of who he is, beyond his failures. A man who is drowning in self-doubt doesn't need criticism, he needs belief. He needs someone who sees the best in him even when he can't see it in himself. Second, don't expect him to process failure the way you do. If he is quiet, if he withdraws, give him space. He is not ignoring you, he is battling his own demons. Let him know you are there, but don't pressure him to talk before he is ready. And lastly, help him redefine failure. Teach him that failure is not the end, it's a step. That losing does not make him a loser, that struggling does not make him weak. Because the truth is, A man will never forget the woman who stood beside him, not just when he was winning, but when he was at his lowest. The woman who didn't just love his success, but also embraced his failures. And when he finally rises again, and he will remember who stayed, who believed, and who never made him feel less of a man even when he felt like one. Men and emotions. This is one of the most complicated relationships in the world. From a young age, boys are taught to be tough, to be strong, to suppress their feelings rather than express them. Crying, that's for the weak. Talking about feelings, that's for women. Society conditions men to believe that showing emotions makes them less of a man, and this belief follows them throughout their lives. Now, let's see how this plays out in real life. Imagine a little boy who falls off his bike and scrapes his knee. He starts to cry, but before the tears even fully form, he hears the words, "Toughen up, boys don't cry." The message is clear, his pain is not valid and he must learn to hide it. Fast forward 20 years and now this boy is a grown man navigating relationships, friendships, work and personal struggles. But every time he feels hurt, every time he feels overwhelmed, the voice from his past still echoes in his head. Don't be weak. Don't cry. Keep it inside. And so he does. Now, let's bring this into a relationship. A woman notices that her partner is distant, quiet, and seems emotionally closed off. She asks, "Is everything okay? Talk to me." His response, "I'm fine." But he is not fine. He wants to talk, but he doesn't know how. He wants to let it out, but something inside him stops him. Expressing emotions is not something he has ever been taught. It feels foreign, almost dangerous. This is why so many women feel like men are emotionally unavailable. It's not that they don't have emotions, it's that they don't know how to express them in a way that feels safe. Think about a man who just lost his job. A woman might deal with this situation by talking to friends, crying, and allowing herself to feel the emotions fully. But a man, he will likely shut down, he might get angry, frustrated, or bury himself in distractions, not because he doesn't feel pain, but because he doesn't know how to show it in a way that doesn't make him feel weak. Or take a man going through a breakup. A woman might cry for days, write about her feelings, talk to her friends, and openly process her emotions. But a man, he will act like nothing happened. He will go out with his friends, distract himself with work or entertainment, and pretend to move on. But deep down, the pain is still there, it just manifests differently. And this emotional struggle doesn't just affect romantic relationships. It affects friendships, family dynamics, and even a man's mental health. So many men suffer in silence because they believe that opening up about their struggles will make them less of a man. So how can a woman support a man who struggles to express his emotions? First, be patient. Understand that he is not shutting you out because he doesn't care. He is doing it because he has been trained his whole life to believe that emotions make him weak. Instead of pressuring him to talk, create a space where he feels safe to do so, at his own pace. Second, listen without judgment. If he ever opens up, no matter how small, don't dismiss his feelings or make him feel embarrassed for sharing. If he says he's stressed, don't respond with, "Oh, come on, that's not a big deal," because to him, it is. Third, pay attention to his actions, not just his words. Many men express emotions through actions rather than words. If he is being extra quiet, if he is more irritable than usual, if he is withdrawing, these are signs that something is wrong. Instead of demanding that he talks, try reassuring him with simple words like, "I'm here for you." Sometimes that's all he needs to hear. And most importantly, never shame him for his emotions. If he ever cries in front of you, if he ever shows vulnerability, that is a rare and precious moment. Handle it with care. Don't mock him. Don't act surprised. Just hold space for him, because the moment he feels judged, he will retreat back into silence and it will be even harder for him to open up again. A man will never forget the woman who made him feel safe enough to be himself. The woman who showed him that his emotions are not a weakness, but a part of his humanity. The woman who helped him see that expressing emotions does not make him less of a man, it makes him stronger. Every man, no matter how confident he seems, has a silent craving inside him to feel valued, respected, and appreciated. But here is the catch: he will never openly ask for it. Unlike women who often express their need for love and validation, men have been conditioned to believe that seeking appreciation is a sign of weakness. From a young age, boys are taught to perform, to achieve, to provide. If they do something well, they might get a pat on the back. But if they fail, the world quickly reminds them that they should have done better. This teaches them one thing: you are only as good as what you can provide. Now, think about how this plays out in adulthood. A man works long hours to support his family, but no one thanks him. He fixes things around the house, but it goes unnoticed. He sacrifices his own comfort to make sure his loved ones are happy, but it's expected of him, not appreciated. Over time, he begins to feel invisible. And here's the irony. While men appear strong, while they act like they don't need validation, they crave it more than anything. They just don't say it out loud. Now, let's bring this into relationships. A woman might assume that her partner doesn't need reassurance because he doesn't ask for it. She might believe that just because he doesn't openly express his emotions, he doesn't need emotional support. But the truth is, he does, more than he will ever admit. Picture this: a man surprises his partner with a small gift, something he picked out after thinking about what she might like. He doesn't say much when he gives it to her, but deep inside he hopes for one thing: that she will appreciate it. If she smiles, if she says, "Wow, this is so thoughtful, thank you," his heart fills with joy. He won't show it, but he will remember that moment. Now imagine the opposite. He gives her the gift and she responds with, "Oh, you didn't have to," or worse, she doesn't react much at all. She doesn't realize it, but in that moment she has unknowingly dimmed his spirit. Because for men, appreciation is not just about words. It's about feeling seen, feeling valued. And it's not just about gifts, it's about effort. If he goes out of his way to fix something, acknowledge it. If he is trying to be a better partner, notice it. If he does something thoughtful, don't let it go unspoken. Because when a man feels unappreciated, he starts to withdraw. He stops trying. Not because he doesn't care, but because he feels like his efforts don't matter. This craving for appreciation also extends to his career, his friendships, and even his role as a father. A man who is working hard in his job wants to know that his efforts mean something. A man who is a father wants to know that he is doing a good job. A man who is in a relationship wants to feel like he is contributing, not just existing. So how can a woman make a man feel appreciated? First, acknowledge his efforts, no matter how small. If he does something for you, even if it seems minor, let him know you noticed. A simple "thank you for always taking care of this" can make a world of difference. Second, compliment him sincerely. Women often receive compliments about their looks, their outfits, their personalities. But men, they rarely hear words of admiration. Tell him he looks good. Tell him you are proud of him. Tell him that what he does matters. Third, understand that his silence doesn't mean he doesn't care. If a man feels unappreciated, he won't complain. He will distance himself. He won't argue. He will slowly stop putting in the effort. And most importantly, make him feel like he is enough. The world constantly pressures men to be more, to earn more, achieve more, do more. But deep down, every man just wants to feel like who he is right now is enough. A man will never forget the woman who made him feel valued, who noticed the little things, who appreciated his efforts even when he didn't ask for recognition. Because to a man, appreciation is not just nice words, it is the fuel that keeps him going, the silent force that pushes him to be the best version of himself. A man can walk into a room with confidence, a smile on his face, and a strong posture that says, "I've got it all figured out." But deep inside, there is one fear that haunts him more than anything else: the fear of failure. This fear is not just about losing a job or missing an opportunity. It's much deeper. It's about his identity. Because in a man's world, success is not just something he desires, it's something that defines him. From a young age, boys are taught that their worth is measured by what they achieve. They are praised when they win but ignored when they lose. Society tells them a man must provide, a man must succeed, a man must be strong. And so failure becomes the ultimate enemy. Now let's see how this plays out in real life. Imagine a man who has just started his own business. He is excited, ambitious, and determined to make it work. But as the months pass, things don't go as planned. He starts struggling financially, and self-doubt creeps in. Every day he wakes up feeling the weight of expectations. His family, his friends, his partner, even society, all watching, waiting to see if he will succeed. And what if he doesn't? What if he fails? The thought terrifies him because in his mind, failure doesn't just mean losing money or closing a business. It means losing respect. It means disappointing those who believed in him. It means feeling like less of a man. Now let's take another example. A man in a relationship. He deeply loves his partner, but in the back of his mind, there's always a voice whispering, "Am I good enough for her?" If he feels like he can't provide for her, if he feels like he can't be the strong, reliable partner she deserves, that fear of failure eats away at him. But does he talk about it? No. Instead, he may pull away, act distant, or become irritable, not because he doesn't care, but because he is fighting an internal battle, a battle that says, "You cannot afford to fail." This fear of failure also affects a man's friendships. Think about a group of men sitting together. They might talk about sports, work, or cars, but how often do you hear them say, "I'm struggling, I feel like I'm failing"? Almost never. Because in a man's world, admitting failure is like admitting weakness, and weakness is something they have been taught to hide. Now let's talk about what happens when a man actually fails, when he loses a job, when a relationship ends, when a dream doesn't work out. Unlike women who often seek emotional support in times of hardship, men tend to suffer in silence. He might withdraw from people, bury himself in work, or find distractions to numb the pain. But deep down, the feeling of failure eats at him, making him question his worth. So how can a woman support a man who is struggling with this fear? First, don't add to the pressure. The world is already telling him that he must succeed at everything. He doesn't need another voice reminding him of what he should be doing. Instead, be the voice that says, "You are enough," even when things don't go as planned. Second, acknowledge his efforts, not just his results. If he is trying, if he is working hard, let him know that you see it. A simple, "I'm proud of you," not because of what you achieve, but because of who you are, can change everything for him. Third, give him space, but don't let him isolate himself. When a man feels like he is failing, his instinct is often to shut down and deal with it alone. Respect his need for space, but also remind him that he doesn't have to go through it alone. And most importantly, help him redefine failure. Remind him that failing does not mean he is worthless. Failing does not mean he is weak. Failing means he tried. It means he learned. It means he is human. A man will never forget the woman who stood by him when he felt like he was at his lowest. The woman who made him feel like he was still worthy, still valuable, still enough, even in the face of failure. Because when a man realizes that his worth is not tied to his success, he becomes unstoppable. Men are taught from a young age that emotions are dangerous. They are told, "Boys don't cry, be a man, stay strong." These words might seem harmless, but they build a wall that separates men from their emotions, from their ability to express what they truly feel. Now think about how this plays out in real life. A little boy falls and scrapes his knee. He wants to cry, but someone tells him, "Toughen up." A teenager goes through heartbreak, but his friends say, forget her, move on. A grown man is stressed about his job, but he feels like he has to deal with it alone because no one expects him to be weak. This conditioning follows men everywhere. Society has built this illusion that being manly means being unaffected, unbothered, and emotionally strong. But the truth is, men feel just as deeply as women. They hurt, they get anxious, they feel overwhelmed, they long for love, for connection, for understanding, but they are rarely given the space to express it. Now let's take this into relationships. A woman might expect her man to communicate the way she does, to open up, to talk about his feelings, to express love in words. But men are different. Most of the time, they don't even know how to express what they feel. Picture this, a man is stressed about work. He's been silent all evening, lost in his thoughts. His partner asks, what's wrong? And he simply says, nothing, I'm fine. But he's not fine. He just doesn't know how to put his emotions into words. He fears that if he admits he's struggling, he will be seen as weak, so he keeps it inside, hoping it will pass. This is why so many women feel frustrated in relationships. They feel like their man is emotionally unavailable, like he doesn't care enough to talk about his feelings. But the truth is, he cares, he just doesn't know how to show it. Instead of using words, men express emotions through actions. If he fixes something in the house, if he plans a surprise for you, if he makes an effort to spend time with you, these are his ways of saying, I love you, I need you, you matter to me. But if a woman only looks for verbal confirmation, she might miss the deeper messages hidden in his actions. So how can you help a man express his emotions? First, create a safe space for him. If a man feels judged or criticized every time he tries to open up, he will shut down completely. Show him that his emotions are welcome, that he won't be mocked for feeling vulnerable. Second, be patient. If he has spent years suppressing his feelings, don't expect him to open up overnight. Let him process emotions in his own way, at his own pace. Third, pay attention to his actions. If he is being distant, it might mean he's struggling. If he is unusually quiet, it might mean he needs support. Learn to read his emotions beyond just words, and most importantly, remind him that expressing emotions is not a weakness, it's strength. The strongest men are not the ones who hide their feelings, but the ones who have the courage to express them. A man will never forget the woman who understood his silence, who made him feel safe enough to open up, who saw beyond his words and into his heart. Because for a man, being truly seen and understood is one of the deepest forms of love. Understanding men is not about changing them, it's about seeing them for who they truly are, beyond their silence, beyond their strengths, beyond the image they try so hard to uphold. Because behind every confident man is a heart that craves understanding, a mind that battles insecurities, and a soul that longs for connection. If you can see his fears, even when he pretends they don't exist, if you can hear his emotions, even when he struggles to voice them, if you can stand by him when the world expects him to stand alone, then you become the one thing every man searches for but rarely finds. A woman who